Hey, 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 welcome to Joy Life Center Coaching and Consulting. It's me, Andrea Jackson. I'm your life coach. Hey, just wanted to welcome you for joining our subscription so that you can enter into today's group, even though you couldn't be with us today. So we have people to bring in. So we're going to be talking about changing some of those messages and how to change those messages in our head and create a better meaning for us to walk into. So just hold on a second. We're going to invite some others to admit into the group and we're going to move forward. I hope you're ready for a great group. Hold on a second. Hey, Kashara. Hey, Sister Lorena. How's everyone?
God bless you.
God bless you. Is that Miss Kashara on the line as well?
Yes, good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Doing well. We've been missing you too.
Yeah. Okay.
That's okay. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're here. We're looking forward to having a great group today. So you guys just go ahead, put your background noise on mute as a couple of others are going to call in. We're going to start at 12. So we're going to give them 1 minute to chime on in.
Okay.
Hello, Miss Bianca. Can you hear me?
Good evening. Afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's 12:01. We're going to go ahead and get started. Well, great afternoon to everyone and welcome to Joy Life Center Coaching and Consulting. We just want to talk again today and interest ourselves in how to better overcome our unhealthy, compulsive, addictive, or whatever behaviors that we're trying to move forward in so that life can be just a little bit better for us. Moving those behaviors out of the way that time has proven not to work for us. So today we're going to talk about changing our way of thinking so that our response will be different. Changing our way. Sometimes when you've been through some stuff, sometimes when you've been through trauma, sometimes when you've been through the disease of addiction, when you've been through the consequences of some of those past behaviors that maybe you understand or don't understand. What happens is we respond to them and our behavior, because of the behavior behind what we're thinking or feeling, what happens is many times we begin to experience consequences. So we found out not too many days ago how to stop this cycle. And it stops at the thought. So a man thinketh, so is he. So we're learning to stop these things at the thought. Sometimes there's a trigger, be it internal or external trigger. We find that the trigger provokes a thought. And once that thought is provoked, we find that that thought causes a response, whether it's an emotional response or a behavioral response. Whatever the response is, it can move us into relapse of the old behavior, or it can move us into an arena of just doing something better for ourselves. So what we're going to do, we're going to stop it at the thought. We talked about some thought stopping techniques. So now on top of those thought stopping techniques, we're going to talk about thoughts and turning them around so that they no longer have the power to affect us. Let me see if I can help someone out here get their audio on. And I can't. Hello, Miss Jenny. Hello, hello, hello. I was trying to help you get your audio on, but I guess you'll have to do that. If you can just look down at the lower part of your Zoom window and you'll see that microphone, just click that microphone so that it'll show audio, just in case you need that information. And as a matter of fact, I don't know if they can hear me. I just want to say the audio button right there. Hit that audio button.
Got
it. There you are. Excellent. Excellent. And welcome. Well, we're going to go ahead and start our check-in. I think Sister Lorena was our first caller this morning. Sister Lorena, good afternoon, sweetheart. Go ahead and check in with us.
I'll make it quick. Good afternoon. God bless you guys. I'm looking forward for this meeting and welcome.
Welcome. Awesome. Lorena made it quick and to the point. Sound like you're feeling good. I love it. Thank you so much. Kashara, go ahead and check in, please.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Kashara, and I'm grateful to be on this call this afternoon, and I am feeling amazing. I'm really, really excited about just excited about hearing some good things on this afternoon. I have been anticipating it. So again, all is well and just waiting to get all that I can. Thank you.
Awesome. Oh, I love that. I love that. Thank you, Kashara. Anticipation. Anticipation is the grounds for miracles to happen. So I love that. Thank you so much. Bianca, good afternoon. Go ahead and check in.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm doing well. Thank you.
All right. Bianca made it short also short and sweet. Thank you. Glad that you're on the line this afternoon. Jenny, please go ahead and introduce yourself or just check in. How you feeling today? How's your mental health vibing? How's your mood? What you're feeling? What you're experiencing?
Hello, everyone. It's Jenny.
Jenny.
Hello, Ms. Jackson. I'm just glad to be on the meeting, and very excited to hear everyone. And it's a beautiful day, and just I'm glad that I woke up today. Amen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you for chiming in, and welcome. So glad to hear your voice on the line on today. So let's all remember, we're going to keep our phones muted until we're ready to participate in the group. And if there's something that you want to say, please, 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 without a shadow of a doubt, just unmute that phone and share. The only thing that we ask is that you remember to mute it back afterwards so that your background noise don't interfere with our call. Because today we're going to be talking about how to change those things, that thinking that comes to kill, steal, and destroy us. You know, sometimes we don't realize how a simple thought can move our lives into a place of good, or to a place of not so good, or to a place of just okay, or to a place of not so okay. So we have to stop it at the thought. That cycle that occurs that lets us know, that cycle of thought that cycle of thought, it feeds our emotions, it feeds our motivation, it feeds our will and our desire to do something different. Have you ever been in a situation where you just was like, I know what to do, but I'm not motivated to do it? Well, this is the time that we got to fight extra hard. And this is what we must do. We must change those internal messages in our thought process. We have to give ourselves a healthier thought process. Many times we know that some people, they're people that think critically. They only think critical thinking. And we have some people that they have pessimistic thinking, where they only see the bad in the thing rather than the good. So we find that we have control over our thinking. So today we're going to take our thinking, and regardless to what trauma causes our minds to think this way, or what incidents or experiences or circumstances in our life that groomed our thoughts to this fashion, we're gonna regroom them today, because if we can't change our thinking, we can't change our doing in a permanent fashion. Yes, you can change some things you could do. I could do a diet real good for a couple of days. But it's when I change my thinking about how this fried chicken is awesome, is good. And I tell you, I can go to Jim Dandy's, I can go to Louisiana, I can go to Church's Fried Chicken, I can go everywhere and I can get some good old fried chicken, because I grew up on fried chicken. But now I'm going to change my way of thinking, because now I have to see in my thoughts that even though the fried chicken is good, it's shortening my days. It's shortening my life. So now I'm gonna look for some alternatives, some change. So that's what we're gonna do today with our thinking. Because remember, our very destiny starts with a thought. Yes, our very destiny starts with a thought. So a man thinketh, so is he. Our thoughts become our words become our actions become our everyday habits, our habits become our character. That's what we're known by, what we do. And our character becomes our destiny. And I probably missed some things in that step, but you get the deal. It starts up here. I can't reach my destiny until I change my thoughts of how I view my destiny. So today we're going to have some more great interaction because I have a list here, I have my notes, and I want to share with you some ways of thinking that harms us. Some ways of thinking that harms us, and what we can do to make those ways of healing, make the ways of thinking more healing for us, more productive for us. For example, meaning that harm, meanings as deprivation or reasoning. I'll give you the definition of deprivation and reasoning and what I mean and its ability to harm. Because you suffered a lot, because you've been through some stuff, you may feel that you need substances or other self-destructive behaviors. For example, I've had a hard time, so I'm entitled to get high. Or if you went through what I went through, you'd hurt yourself too. That type of thinking, when you start having that pity thinking, that deprivation, where I'm deprived, I feel deprived, and I'm reasoning these compulsive, unhealthy behaviors because of what I've been through, because I've been deprived. And now I'm still depriving myself. Remember, we talked about listening to the whispers of what we need. We can't help nobody else. We can't change our life unless we listen to what we need. So in finding and identifying that, we find that when we find that what we need, then we can change our way of thinking. We can change our way of thinking. Let me show you how this sounds. A meaning that heal, rather than the deprivation and reasoning. When I start feeling that way, when I start thinking that way, I can say to myself, live well. Instead of the deprivation, instead of the reasoning, instead of, oh, I've been through a lot, so that's why I do this, or I deserve to use because of what I've been through. I deserve to cut myself because of what I'm going through. Instead, live well. And what that means is a happy, functional life will make up for all your suffering. Change your mindset. to look at the other side. That healthier functioning life will make up for all your suffering far more than hurting yourself. Focus on positive steps to make your life better. Change your way of thinking. Change your way of thinking. I'm gonna give you another one. I'm crazy. Have you ever felt that way? Have you ever told yourself that? I'm crazy. So a definition of that, you believe that you shouldn't do what you do. You shouldn't do or be the way that you are. You criticize yourself, you label yourself, you disdain yourself, instead of saying maybe honor your feelings. Sometime, for an example, and thank you for joining us, the last two that just joined in. But you know what? A better way of, I'll give you an example of that I'm crazy feeling. I must be crazy to feel this upset, or I shouldn't be having these cravings. Sometimes we think we're crazy because of what we're going through, but a better way of perceiving, changing that perception, changing that way of thinking, changing the perspective by which you view yourself, by honoring your feelings. Honoring your feelings. You are not crazy. You're not crazy. Your feelings make sense in light of what you've been through. You can only get over them by taking the steps that you need, learning to cope with your feelings. Isn't that better? Rather than labeling yourself because of what you're going through, rather than label yourself because of what you're feeling. What are some of those thoughts that you experience that takes you into your unhealthy behaviors? What are those thoughts that you experience? What is that feeling that you have that example of, you know what, well, I might as well do this when I feel or when I think what? Please unmute your phone and share. It's hot in the studio. Anyone? I'll give a few more.
God bless you.
God bless.
This is Lorena. I've worked through a lot of those feelings myself already. They do come back up periodically, not as often as they used to, but it kind of goes with all the classes that we've gone over, right? The self-talk, the compassion again with ourselves, the awareness of what upsets us about ourselves. Sometimes I know that I put higher expectations on myself than I can actually accomplish. Okay. So my first thought, like, I'm so stupid. Why would I do that? And then I catch myself with that negative talk. And it's like, no, you know what? You're just trying to do too much, knowing that you can't. So let's, prioritize what's important, what I can do, what I cannot have control over, and just a lot of awareness, self-talk, and the compassionate for myself.
Yes. Hey, I love that. I love that, Lorena. Thank you for sharing that. Because did you guys hear what she said when she gets to that place, when she gets to that thinking where, wow, I shouldn't have been able, I shouldn't feel this way, or I shouldn't have did that, or that negative self-talk comes from that negative thinking, but she stops. Instead of embracing that about herself, embracing that negative self-talk, that harsh talk to herself, that harsh way of thinking about herself, instead of embracing it, she said, no, I just put a little bit too much on my plate. When that high expectation, and we know we're our own self-critics, when that high expectation comes up and we're angry at ourselves, she stops, she makes herself aware. I love that. Makes herself aware. No, I just put a little bit too much on my plate. I put a little bit too much on my plate. And you know what? Tomorrow I'll put less, so that I can take that negative tone off. It's not going to drive me to my compulsive behaviors. I'm not going to look at myself as a failure. I'm not going to look at myself as someone that doesn't know what they're doing. I do know what I'm doing. And what I'm doing, I'm walking into life change. Life change isn't easy because I'm changing what I've been doing all these years centuries, decades. I've been doing it all this time. So now I'm making a change, and it comes with those supportive measures, the self-talk, the support of others, the being aware of who I am, what I'm doing, and when I'm doing it. That's awesome. Anybody else? Thank you so much, Lorena. Anyone else?
I would say the pessimistic thinking.
Okay, that's you. Okay, please share.
Always thinking of the worst, the glass being half empty and not half full.
Okay.
Um, I don't have money, period. I might not have none today, but that's not the end of the story.
Right.
You know, uh, not feeling good. I may not feel good today, but that's not the end of the story.
Right.
So kind of just changing, like you said, changing the way you view things, the way you see it, because when you look at a cup and it has water in it, you know, it could be half full or it could be half empty, depending on how you look at it.
Yes.
And so learning how to just change those things around and just doing the positive thing, being more optimistic about things. So yeah, that would be something I have dealt with.
Excellent. Wow. Kudos to you. And did you notice with both ladies saying this is something that I've worked through, but at the same time, it still comes up. And I love that. In real life, we don't press the easy button and everything changes. No, it doesn't happen like that. We have to continue to work on things. Some things, they pass by and they leave us, never to return again. But there are some things that's inside that takes a little longer, and we need to practice these measures so that we can continue to walk in our life change. I love that. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to read a couple of others, and we're going to hear from you again, because there's so many things. And one of the ones that I want you to hear is beating yourself up. Oh my goodness, we are our worst self-critic, beating ourselves up. In your mind, you yell at yourself and you put yourself down. For example, I'm a bad person. My family was right. I'm just worthless. Instead of allowing that thought, that perception, instead of allowing that message, that internal message to groom you, because remember, so a man thinketh, so is he. What do you mean, so is he? Those are the actions that he stepped from. Those are the thoughts, that's the porch that she will launch from. And that's who they will become. Their behaviors will follow what they think. So if I can catch it up here, then guess what? I can make some better decisions on my moving forward. So instead of beating yourself up, what can I do? Love, not hate, because love creates change. I'm going to read that. Beating yourself up may echo what people in the past have said about you, but yelling at yourself does not change your behavior. In fact, it makes you less likely to change. Care and understand and promote real change. Lots of us, when we were children, whenever we did something wrong, we were spanked. We got whoopings just right off the bat, or we got yelled at. And some parents, because of their untreated PTSD or because not knowing what to do with their discontentment themselves, sometimes they hollered out some names and they called us some names. And maybe you've practiced that somewhere in your life as well. And what that does is create seeds, not good seeds, but negative seeds that we grow by. And where is it seeded? Right here. Right here. You may say, you know what, Miss Jackson, that's not my story. I had a great childhood. Well, maybe from your childhood, you walked into a bad relationship. Maybe from that childhood, you got with someone, a male or a female, a husband or a wife, and some of their choice of words or their choice of actions or how they helped you to feel about yourself. Maybe some of those things cause you to view yourself in that way. And sometimes we begin to internalize and resurrect some of those thoughts, some of those words, some of those messages, and we begin to call them into present time. And we begin to utilize those messages ourselves. And we begin to now speak them to ourselves, confirming what someone else has said about us. But guess what? I want us to kill the lie. I want us to kill and silence the sound of the enemy. I don't care whose mouth it came out of. Now the enemy is using it to destroy you, planting seeds in your thinking and your process of thought, planting those seeds that are now affecting your doing, your behavior, your going, your steps. We're scared to take a faith step because we already feel like a failure. We're scared to do something because we already feel that we're going to fail. And sometimes those past experiences where we have failed, where we have made mistakes, starts ringing in our face and dancing around us. But we have to tell them, I was supposed to make that mistake so that I can learn and grow. So with courage, we're going to stop these thoughts in our mind, and we're going to live well, and we're going to experience change. Because remember when you used to get beat, remember when you used to get cussed out by your parents or your loved one, remember how that authoritative figure whom you love or whom you respected, when they talk bad about you or to you, what did that do for you? Did it encourage you to change? Sometimes we holler at our children, we holler at our loved ones. Sometimes we do have to holler to get their attention, but that shouldn't be our mode of conversating with them. We don't holler at people that's done wrong. If we want to create change, and I use children because we have to raise our children. We want to change the bad behavior to the good behavior. But we have to learn how to do it in us first, right? We have to learn how to do it in us. I yell at my dog sometimes. It don't help. It just get him acclimated to being yelled at. It doesn't promote change. So what do we have to do? Let's now look at some of the things that I need to do. Instead of, like we talked about, compassionate self-talk versus harsh self-talk. Harsh self-talk is like, you big dummy, you shouldn't have did that. Oh, you so stupid. How you gonna do that again? You so stupid. What is that changing? What is that changing? Absolutely nothing. But if we take a compassionate self-talk, we're not excusing our behavior, but we're saying, you know what just happened? What just happened here? You know, you used last night. You know, you went home, you beat your girlfriend last night. What just happened? These are behaviors that we've already said we weren't going to do anymore. So what was going on? Oh, okay, maybe you got drunk and you was out of control, or maybe you didn't take care of yourself. You didn't eat breakfast and you've been in a funky mood all day. You know, maybe what was it that caused this reaction? Maybe I still need some more help. I'm still operating in that old routine behavior. I need to practice breaking that cycle. Maybe I need to get some more support. Maybe I need to include maybe some therapy in my life. Maybe I need to get a sponsor. Maybe I need to have more personal time with my life coach. Maybe I need to go to church more and edify my spirit. Maybe whatever it is, identify what you're lacking and then do something about it rather than just yelling at yourself, beating yourself up. How many of you on the line have beat yourself up? And please tell me, how far did that get you? Go ahead, unmute your phone and share. Did anyone practice beating yourself up?
So many times.
How far did that get you, Bianca?
Nowhere. If anything, it knocked me backwards.
Yes.
It knocked me backwards. Because I am one that really try to do, and I realize I can't be perfect. But again, as I stated, you know, growing up, hearing about you was a mistake. You got your birth was a mistake, and all those different things, and growing up with that kind of pessimistic thinking in your mind and all that kind of stuff. But happened to realize, that I am not a mistake. I make mistakes.
Yes.
So, but it took me a while to get there. You know what I'm saying? It took me a while to get there. So there was days that I did beat myself up. You know, wow, you couldn't do that. Or the feeling inadequate, you know, about situations. You
Yeah.
see everybody else doing it. What? You're not smart enough to do that? You
Mm,
know, things like that. And so, like I said, it didn't profit me anything. If anything, I believe it knocked me backwards. It stunted me. It stagnated me because then you don't want to move forward.
yes.
You get stuck in that place and you don't want to move forward. That's okay. I'll just sit right here. That's okay. I'll do nothing because if I do nothing, I know I can do that right.
Ooh.
So yeah, so I've had that where I used to beat myself up a lot.
Wow.
Now
Thank
today, I don't do all that. I don't beat myself up. Sure, there's times where I feel like I didn't meet the mark. I mean, it's normal.
Right.
You know, it's not obsessive. You know, it's a normal thing now. And it's not where it's just overwhelming. It's just something that I just think about all the time. You just can't do it. You know, you just dumb and all that kind of stuff. No. If I don't meet the mark, guess what? There's always another day.
Absolutely.
You know, there's always another day. I think they say if you reach for the moon, if you don't grab the moon, you fall among the stars or
Love
something of that
that.
sort. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's what I would say. Thank you.
I love that. Reach for the moon. Because if you miss the moon, at least you'll fall amongst the stars. In other words, there's no failure in us. There's no failure in us. When we give effort, that pessimistic thinking, that negative talk, that harsh talk, that negative thinking, all that kills our motivation for effort. Who feels motivated to make an effort calling themselves names, big dummy, stupid, you jerk? That doesn't motivate anyone. It doesn't motivate children when we call them names. It doesn't motivate our spouses, our loved ones. It doesn't motivate ourselves. Anyone else before we go on to the next one?
Yes, you know, Miss Jackson, this is really good. Think as Miss Bianca was talking about being pessimistic in the way that you're thinking and changing the views of things.
Yes.
Instead of beating up yourself. The word of God says, so as a man thinketh, so is he. We begin to believe that we are what we've heard, agreeing to negative talk and thoughts that's in our minds instead of accepting that which is negative talk, looking at situations as a positive force and saying to ourselves or to yourself or to myself that and declaring a positive focus, staying motivated and positiveness. If someone declares something negative, even yourself, and you say to yourself, oh, how stupid. Why did I, you know what, that served me right. You know, and instead of saying those things, declaring into your own self, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That is where our strength comes from. When we begin to declare in our own self, speak into our own life, saying to ourselves, you know what? I'm not what I thought. I'm not what they said. I'm what God said. I'm what, look at me. I'm beautifully and wonderfully made. You know, and speaking, sometimes we just have to, and I said this before, we have to sometimes just get up, go walk to the mirror and keep a mirror and look at yourself and look and see how beautiful you are, not just on the inside but on the outside too. And when you see yourself as beautiful and not listening to the negative, you know, it begins to make you feel like you are. I was listening to Miss Bianca when she was saying, about the glass being half full or half empty. It is your perception of how you think about things. But
Right.
how about thinking instead of the negative, how stupid you are? You know what? I might have made a mistake, but I'm going to move forward in that area. I'm going to do better this time. I'm
Yes.
not going to look at the situation as I failed, but I'm going to look at it as a learning process, not to do that again, not to think that way again, but to
Yeah.
move forward and think more of myself than what looks like to me a failure or a mess up or
Yes.
anything like that, but looking at myself as
Yes.
I can do all things. I can do it. I can make it. You know,
Yes.
I am what I am. I'm what God say I am. And with that being said, learning how to identify with the maybes. Maybe I can do it. No, I can do.
Man.
There's no maybes. I can, I will, and I shall. And shall means absolute.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that, Ms. Kashara. Thank you. Absolutely. Giving affirmations to ourselves, you know, whether we affirm ourselves in the word of God or whether we affirm ourselves in self-written affirmations, you know what you need. Speak those things into existence. Speak those things that are not as if they were. And if it doesn't, even if I begin to walk in the shall, even though I do motivate myself to walk in the shall and in the absolute, no longer the maybe and no longer I can't. But even if I do not meet the mark, guess what? It's okay. Let's encourage ourselves to mold that thought of failure that tries to come and tells us we are not good enough or you suck or any of those things. I'm going to come back with positive talk. When my little one has the football game, when they go to play football, they're all pumped up and they're motivated. And if they lose that game, it's like it's something that's leaked from them. And guess what? Before they walk off that field, those coaches gather them up and they let them know what they did wrong and they pump them back up so that they can walk off that field feeling good again. That's what we got to do for ourselves. When we don't meet the mark that we met for ourselves, we got to find what is it that I have to change in here. And if my words, my positive affirmations change my mindset, then guys, I want you to write some affirmations and put them all over your walls, your mirrors. And that's another thing that I liked about what Ms. Kashara said. You know, we talked about grounding the other day, the technique of grounding. And she was saying, carry a mirror in your pocket to remind yourself of who you are today. On our prayer lines in the morning, we always have a declaration that's spoken that we're going to declare to ourselves today. And every moment of our lives, I need to be ready with another affirmation, with the word of God, with a good thought, with some positivity, some compassionate self-talk, with something that's going to counteract that negative thinking, that demising thinking, that thinking that I'm not good enough, I'm not powerful enough, I don't equal up. If I don't equal up, let me identify what I need to do, because it doesn't mean that we're all equipped in all things. If I go and I try to take a test to get a job as an engineer, guess what? I might fail that test. Does that mean I'm a failure? No, it means that I'm going to look at it and I'm going to declare that I can do it. But guess what? What do I need to do it? I'm not walking in a fallacy. I need to go study for the test. I need to find out more about engineering and go to school perhaps, you know, and I do what I need to do. I'm not just speaking magical words. I'm not lying to myself. What I'm doing, I'm motivating myself. I'm changing the way I think, because if we continue to walk in demise, we won't even go to school. I want to talk to you about this next one. And then I want to hear your thoughts. The past is the present. That's some feelings, that's some thought processing that's so harmful, because what we've been through in our past, sometimes we carry it to our present. Like our pain, what happened 12 years ago. That's me. That's who I am. Same old cycle, same old thing. And as long as you keep thinking that I'm cursed, the past is my present, then you'll never get to that place where you need to be. So the past is the present. Because you were a victim of the past, you feel you're a victim of the present, that victimized thinking. For an example, I can't trust anyone. I'm just trapped. That kind of thought process. But look, what we could do, I love this, notice your power. When you start feeling that when you start experiencing that thought pattern, that thought process, notice your power. Stay in the present. I like how Kashara said, get that mirror. Get that mirror out your purse, out your back pocket, get it out your sock, out your briefcase. Get that mirror, look in the mirror and begin to let yourself know that, hey, you know what? I'm in the present. That happened to me 12 years ago. I failed that test 10 years ago. That trauma, that traumatic experience happened to me in my childhood. Get back in the present. Look in that mirror. Get back in the present. Stay in the present. I'm an adult. I'm not a child. I have choices. I'm not trapped. I am getting help. I'm not alone. What do you guys think about that one? Have you ever been in that space where it seemed like your past was just reoccurring and it's just taking over your life? Somebody tell me about that. Anyone? All right, well, we'll go to the next one if no one can identify with that one.
I'm sorry, I thought I was unmuted. I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
go ahead, Kashara.
You know, just listening to you, and a lot of times our past come to haunt us. Not just haunt us, but it comes to taunt us.
Yeah.
And if you're not careful, if you're not focused, you will start believing the things of your past is still a continuous in your now, in your present. But the word of God says, forgetting those things which are behind us. And we're moving forward. We're looking at what the newness in our lives. The old things have passed away. Behold, we have become new. And the new things is not who we used to be. It's not what we used to be, but it is now what God say we are, what the change have made in our lives. We carry so much of a negative load of ourselves because of our past. We beat ourselves up, and you know, if something familiar comes along, it revert back to, oh, here we go again, all over again, the same cycle. But we ourselves have to press past what we've been through, who we were, and move forward into the positive things in life. God have changed our lives. We have worked hard to be who we have become today. And what I can speak for me, what I have become today is beautiful, wonderful, encouraged, strengthened, walking in newness, and not looking backwards, not thinking about where I came from. Because one thing for sure, we all know that the enemy is an opposer. He is not gonna tell you the truth. Everything about you that's negative, he's gonna put it before you. But you have to open up your mouth and declare it and believe what you're speaking and tell him that he's a liar. I am what God say I am. I have moved into my newness. I'm walking in it, and I'm gonna continue to walk in it. So we have to think about everything that was negative and turn it into a positive. And that positive is my now, my present, who I am now, what I represent, who I represent, you know. And you are the best that you can be only if you know that you are. If you continue to say to yourself, I'm nothing, I'm this, I'm that, my past, I was that, I can do this. I remember when I was this, that, and the other, and honey, you better not step on my toe. You better not. But guess what? We're not living that life anymore. We're moving past that. That's negativity. We're looking for the positive things in our life to move forward, to be all that we can be.
Yeah.
On not just a spiritual life, but a natural life. I want to one day be somebody that can tell anybody about somebody who can save. I don't know if I'm saying right. Y'all know what I mean.
We got you.
Yeah. So I want to be that person that may have looked down at myself as a nobody.
Mhm.
And I want to be able to say to somebody, whether it's a friend or someone, and encourage them, and tell them, come on, you can make it. And not just them, but myself.
Yes.
Come on, Kashara, you can make it.
You make it.
You can do this.
Yes.
You can, and we have to learn sometimes just speak over our own selves. And we'll find that negative totally behind us. We'll be able to look back and not even see it no more. Look forward and see exactly who we are and what we are in God.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much for that, Kashara. We do, like you said, we make these great changes in our life, but how do we maintain them? We maintain them by changing our way of thinking, We must remember that when those thoughts come, the Bible teaches us to cast them down. The Bible says, whatsoever things are good, of good report, virtuous, worthy of praise, think on those things. Clinicians tell us to change those thoughts and tell us about thought stopping techniques. On every realm, we learn that we have to change our thoughts, how we think about us, because guess what? Those thoughts, if they've been there before, they're going to revisit. I love how Lorena said, you know what? The thought may come back. You know, like she said, I've dealt with those things, but the thoughts sometimes come back. In order for us to maintain this road of recovery, this road of life change that we're on today, what do we have to do? We have to stay in the fight. We have to stay in the fight. We have to stay present. We have to be aware, like Sister Lorena always talks about awareness. We have to be aware that we're on a road of recovery. We have to be aware that this isn't a life change that's going to happen overnight. This is something that we've started, and there's something that we have to continue to maintain. I always say, if God bless you with a house, guess what? That's a wonderful gift from God. Yes, it is. But guess what? He's not going to come by every 10 years and patch up your roof. He's not going to come by every 3 weeks and mow your yard. That's something that you have to maintain. We have to maintain. Faith without works is dead. So we can't just sit back and say, God, you do it. Like Kashara said, you know, he gives us a word full of I don't even want to say positive affirmation, because it's principles to life. It's greater than an affirmation. It's principles to life for our mind, our body, and our soul's progression, success, purity, all that. But guess what? We also remind ourselves of those principles when we speak the word to ourselves, so that the way that this life has formulated our perception and our thinking can now be groomed into that place of power, groomed into that place of authority, groomed into that place of succession, regardless to what's happened behind us. Wow, you guys are awesome. Anyone else before I go to the next one?
Yes, it's Bianca.
Go ahead.
I like to say this. Don't let your past cultivate your mind to distract you from your present.
Yes.
Don't let your past cultivate your mind to distract you from your present. And we know this is a day-by-day thing.
Yes.
That leads you into your future.
Yes.
Because a lot of times we do, you know, the past, as the one that spoke before me, it comes and it hunts you, you know. Always the enemy is trying to remind you of what you used to do, or who you used to be, and the things you used to do, and all that kind of stuff. But my thing is, and I think I wrote this on Facebook some years ago. Don't let your past cultivate your mind to distract you from your present. And I
Wow.
like to add to that. And day by day to your future.
Yes.
Thank you.
Awesome. That was beautiful to add. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. I see Miss Melinda joining us and she's trying to get our audio together. So we're grateful that that so many are chiming in this afternoon. I want to share you know, as all of you are saying, this is awesome. This is awesome because we have to change the way we think. Let's look at the good old days. I love to talk about this one as well, because some things that we call the good old days were the days of destruction that we hasn't. I heard someone quote the scripture, I think it was Miss Kashara, about forgetting those things that are behind us, pressing towards the mark of the higher calling that's before us. Well, guess what? Many times there's that pull of the good old days, where remember that automatic recall, where it's just recalling you to remember, you know, when you had so much fun, when you were operating in those old behaviors, and how when you it was a nice outcome that came from it. Your automatic recall don't necessarily show you all the pain and suffering and hopelessness that was attached to that. When it's all when it pops up, it pops up like it's all good. So what happens is we're trying to identify that those things that we call the good old days, we have to be mindful even how we perceive that. Let's take a look. The good old days. There's so much stuff popping up here. The good old days. You remember the wonderful highs from something, maybe it was the drug or abusive relationship, but ignore the tragedy of it. You know, you may say, wow, well, cocaine made me feel happy, or I still love my partner, even though he or she abused me. But instead, let's be flexible, like we talked about in our healthy boundaries. Let's see both sides. Let's see both sides. The drug may have felt good, but the cost of losing your job wasn't. The relationship may have had some positives, but it had some serious negatives too. You know, the enabling, the overeating, the anger, all those things. They may have had its good momentary immediate gratification. Can I spit that one out? They may have had its immediacy. You may have felt that immediate gratification, but look at the long-term consequences from it. So are there some things that you need to change your mind from looking at as the good old days? Go ahead, unmute your phone and share. Any old behaviors that your mind still look at and process as good, when life has shown you, your experience have shown you that it's not so good. Any thoughts of that? Sometimes in our loneliness, we're like, oh, Mary Jane was all right, but Mary Jane stole all my money, deceived me, underwrote my house right from under me. Oh, Jody over there, he took off with all my goods, and I just expressed to him my heart's desire, and he just took that and just ran all up and down the street with it, told my enemies all my secrets. But you know what? He was always there. Is there any thoughts in your mind where you still look at as good, that you know in this life change process, you have to see it from where it is and see both sides? Anyone, go ahead, unmute your phone and share.
Yes, good afternoon. This is Melinda giving
Hey,
grace.
Melinda.
Hi, giving honors to God, who's the head of our life. Yes, as far as me, I know sometimes I think about my past relationship that I had, which I knew at first I thought it was a good relationship, but as I came to Christ, I found out that it wasn't a good relationship because it was against God's purpose. It was against God's being. You know, and I used to, and I would think, well, if it felt so good, why was it so wrong? Because the reason why it was wrong is because it wasn't a man and woman's relationship. It was a woman and woman's relationship. And I thought at that time that it was all good. But come to find out, as I changed my life and as I came to Christ, it wasn't good. And and sometimes my mind will go there, like if I hear a certain song, or if I'm in her daughter's presence, which is my goddaughter, or if my goddaughter call me, it'll bring up past thoughts.
Yes.
And then my mind will say, now, no, I have to stop my thinking. No, even though it felt good at that time, but this time I know in my future presence, as I'm walking with God, I know that it's not of God, and I know it's not right. And plus, it's unhealthy, because that relationship right there, oh, it takes a whole lot out of you. And as I came to Christ, I found out it was a stronghold that was hard. I mean, it took me 38 years to break
Wow.
that stronghold. So, and my life that I have now is awesome. And I just love my life that I have now.
Yeah.
Not so much when I was in that relationship. It was some trying days, but the
Yeah.
majority of the days they were good. But I know it's not now, since I'm walking in Christ. I know it's not good. It's not good for me. It's not healthy for me in my walk, and it's not healthy. It's just not healthy. So that's what I had to share.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Melinda. She identified her unhealthy behavior, chose what she want and what she don't want, and she started making some changes in it. That is excellent. And I love that, how now she's moving in a way of her life where she's walking away. 38 years is a long time to be in an unhealthy situation. So therefore, like she said, it still pops up. It's a part of me. We must remember there are some things that affect our very soul. When she talked about the strongholds of the mind, but there are things that wrap and entangle themselves in our soul, and they're like a soul tie. And those soul ties are not as easy to be removed. But when we find that what I'm in is not something that I want to remain in, this is unhealthy for me, this is not what I want from my life, I'm going to continue. Now, how do I continue to move forward? Is it in, I'm just going to walk away and that's it and that's all? No, we have to maintain how we think. I have to be very cautious how I think. When those old past, oh, you know what? Those were the good old days. We had so much fun. And if I choose to entertain those thoughts, then I'm choosing to relapse in those old behaviors. If I choose to entertain the thoughts, any of it, smoking, drinking, lying, sexing, unhealthy sex, unprotected sex, enabling anything, if I choose to entertain it in my mind, then I am asking for a relapse. Because why? So a man thinketh, so is he. I have to change my thinking on a continual basis. The truth of the word says, cast down every imagination, every thought, every argument that comes to argue with your truth, that comes to argue with where you're going, that comes to argue with his words, the very decision that you've made to carry this out. I got to tear down every argument that argues against what I've chosen and who I've chosen to be today. I have to tear down every imagination that's going to bring me and ease me back to that lifestyle that I no longer choose to be a part of. I got to tear it down so that I can be what I think. Let's look at another one. Sometimes I have quite a few written down, but for the lack of time, I want to just pick out a few of them. Let's see. I want to talk about this one, ignoring cues. This goes along with what we talked about the other day, red flags and green flags. We talked about those red flags, danger, danger. You see the signs, you're going on the date and all of a sudden, you know, she's ordering all this stuff on the menu. And when it's time for the check, she's not reaching for her purse at all. She's ordering everything she wants. She's ordering the finest of wine, the finest of Kool-Aid, whatever. And, you know, she's just actually just given no consideration to, you know, what are you having? You know, is it to even ask, is there a limit? Instead of seeing the cues, oh, she has no consideration for someone else. Oh, she or he has no thought of my condition. They're selfish. They're looking out for themselves. There's the cue. Oh, but she's so fine that you just move the cue. Or maybe you've become emotionally attached. Oh, you know, but he bought me a Snickers bar the other day. He's so kind that I don't mind. Maybe it's just a thing today. Maybe it's just really hungry. We begin to kind of talk ourselves out of good sense, good thinking. So now we're trying to identify red flags from green flags. When I see the red flag, what is my response to the red flag? So today we're talking about ignoring cues. Well, that is a very unhealthy way of thinking. You see the cues, you see the red flags, and we still choose to ignore them. Why? Because of our emotions, how we feel about them. Maybe it's someone we love. Maybe it's someone in our family. We see the cues. Maybe it's our children, and we don't want to do anything about it. Ignoring cues. If you don't notice a problem, it will not go away. This is why you can only change what you identify. If I ignore this toothache, it will go away. I don't have a problem with substances. Those were two different examples. If I ignore this toothache, it's going to go away. This just, if I ignore it, really, you know, we go and we get these temporary fixes. We talk about the Band-Aids. The little temporary Band-Aids. A Band-Aid was never meant to be replaced, to replace surgery. The Band-Aid was never meant to replace the whole healing process that you have to go through. So what happens is we have a toothache. You know how we go to the store and we go and we put these little a niacin or whatever those things are called, just to temporarily get through, or gel, just to temporarily deal with the pain. Well, today we're finding out that dealing with the pain temporarily is asking for a temporary fix. Now, sometimes we get lucky and that pain goes away for a while, but guess what? The problem's still there. The problem's still there, just to haunt you at another time. Let's go to the dentist. Let's take care of the problem. Let's stop with the temporary fixes. So if we stop ignoring the cues, stop ignoring, I have a drug problem. Quit lying to yourself. Maybe you haven't identified it. If you haven't identified it, believe me, you're going to have your experience. Whatever the problem is in your life, if you haven't identified it, for some it may take 10 days, for some it may take 10 months, for some it may take 10 years, but you're going to identify, man, that's a problem. But once we identify it's a problem, let's stop lying to ourselves. I ain't no problem. I can stop whenever I want to. Ain't no problem. Let's stop lying to ourselves. So let's attend to our needs. A matter of counteracting that way of thinking, a better way of thinking, a more healing way of thinking, a more healing and personal way to get through our change is to attend to our needs. Let's read. Listen to what you're hearing. Notice what you're seeing and believe your gut feelings. Sometimes we feel I shouldn't go there, but we just drive right over that little gut feeling. You know, I like in the word where it talks about Elijah and how he was looking for a word from the Lord. And he said he went to the face of the cave, the opening of the cave, and he said great rocks were breaking and winds and storms were moving and great rains were going, but God wasn't in none of that. None of that signified his message. The message was in the still small voice. Sometimes we got to listen to our conscience. We got to listen to the Spirit of God. We got to listen to our gut feeling and say, you know what? I'm going to take that cue. I'm going to take it, and I'm not going to do that. Anybody ever experienced that way of thinking where the cues was right there in your face, but you still overlooked it? Where did that get you? Anyone, go ahead, unmute your phone and share.
God bless you. This is Sister Lorena.
Hey.
Me ignoring cues caused me to relapse, and not only relapse mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, but actually picking up and using.
Okay.
And then I would, if I had to reflect on it, like, okay, how did I get here? And it was just ignoring the cues, ignoring them, and like, nah, I just put them on the back. Adjusted some things that I cannot ignore any cue that comes up today. I can't. Anything that bothers me, I gotta stop and process through it.
Yes.
Because otherwise I find myself, harming myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. It's so important. It's so important. Thank you, Sister Lorena. Anyone else?
Yes, I just want to say, wow. Just ignoring red flags and cues, it I can say it now, it allowed me to do something that I won't say regret, because everything we go through is a learning process.
Right.
Grow us up in one way or the other, but ignoring the cues, because I saw the red flags, I saw the negativity in it, I saw the no's, and because I didn't want to, I'm sorry, I didn't want to be embarrassed, because I had put so much out and put so much into it.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to just say, you know what, I'm just not gonna do this, because I see this thing ain't right. I know that this is not what it's supposed to be. But because I was so into my own self thinking, I allowed myself to walk into a 15-year disappointment, hurt, a disrespectful relationship, unhealthy relationship that was not, it was not feasible in God's sight and really in mine.
Okay.
But because I didn't want to say no and be embarrassed, because I had put so much time and effort and spent so much money into it, I didn't say, you know what, I know we've spent a lot of money, but this is not right. We shouldn't do this, because I see things that I know is not right. And you get it. You know it's not.
Right.
He showed you it's not. It displayed to you that it's not, but you yet and still go on after seeing the cues, and then it puts you in like a setback. Now you gotta know or learn how to come back from this thing that have overtaken you, and you don't know really how to deal with it. But because of your disobedience and you're ignoring the cues that was there, you get yourself in trouble. And I found myself in that place. I found myself in a place of no return. And I didn't come out because I wanted to come out, or because I thought, okay, well, I'm out. But no, now that you're in, some stuff is you gotta stay and confront it.
Yes.
Until things change. But again, we have to know that we know when we see it, not to ignore it. Don't ignore it. Don't ignore the cues. Don't ignore it. I even found myself, in situations where, as you were saying, you were giving the examples, going out to dinner, and when it's your turn
Right.
to be the one that they're paying.
Right.
You got to be mindful mentally. Okay, well, let me not be greedy. Let me not be overwhelming to them. But when it's your turn, they want prime ribs and all kind of stuff, and now you got to pay for it. But you got to be mindful of it, because you see those things before it happens. And don't close your eyes to it. Don't turn a deaf ear to it, but think about what you've gotten into and how now you have to pray now how you're going to come out. He'll bring you out, but now it's growing pain.
Right. Absolutely. The growing pains. Thank God for them.
Yes.
Thank God we learn from the mistakes. So it is a growing pain and not just a pain. Thank you for that, Kashara. You bring up an excellent point. Sometimes we stay in situations because of outside influences, or I've invested so much. I love those points. And we see how those outside influences that we don't want to maybe fail in the eyes of, all they're going to do is laugh at me. Well, we find now that rather than repeating those compulsive behaviors by ignoring the cues, rather than doing that, it would be good just to get the laughter out the way, lose the money, it'll come back again, and stay in that place of recovery. That is awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else before we go to the next one? Have you ever noticed how you ignore cues that put you in a bad place? I love how Lorena said, it doesn't just emotionally set me back. It doesn't just put me in a funk, but it can cause me full-blown relapse if I don't ignore the cues. If I don't pay attention to what's going on. Go ahead and share.
Yes, hi, this is Melinda. I can identify with Lorena and the last lady that shared too as well. With me, I'm going through something right now. Well, at first I wasn't, but I'm looking at the situation. And I'm like, no, this can't be again. But my heart is so careful for caring for others. I'm like, okay, well, should I go through this again? And then my mind will tell me no. Then my heart will tell me yeah. My mind will tell me no. Then my heart will tell me yeah. I pray on the situation, and then my heart will tell me yes again. And then my mind will tell me no. But now something happened yesterday, a situation where my mind and my heart is telling me no. Just to let go and let God and pray on that situation and pray for that person, because I have tried and tried and tried over and over and over to do the best I can by the book of the Lord, by the ways of God. But I just can't take myself through that pain and that destruction anymore, because I looked at the scene. Did I have a part to play in it? Yeah, I had a part to play in it. My kindness is the part that I had to play in it. Okay. But the situation, how the person handled it, I just didn't understand. So I'm just like, wow, And I prayed last night, and I prayed today, and the answer I got was just to let go and let God. So that's where I am today.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you so much for that, Melinda. Because when we see these cues coming, instead of just responding by ignoring them, when we do respond to the cues, what are we going to do? And I like how Melinda said, I prayed about it. And she took some time, because like she said, first her mind was saying one thing, her heart was saying another thing. And then she prayed again, and so on. Her heart went that way and her mind went that way, or vice versa. But she continued till she got a full answer. I love how you gave attention to it. You noticed the cue, you didn't just ignore it, and you did something about it. And now you got your answer, and now you're complete. And it isn't that something about when you get the answer, you can move on without the weight, and you don't have to repeat the old behaviors now. You can move on without the weight. I feel free. She said, I'm letting go, and I'm letting God. That's awesome. Thank you so much for that. I'm gonna read another one. One unhealthy thinking is one form of harmful thinking is I am my trauma. Your trauma is your identity. It is more important than anything else about you. Example, my life is pain. I'm what I have suffered. Instead, a more healing perspective is create a broader identity about yourself. You are more than what you have suffered. Think of your different roles in your life, your varied interests, your goals, your hopes. You are more than what happened in the past. You're more than what you've done. You're more than what's been done to you. There's a broader perspective to you. You are made wonderfully and beautifully, and there's so many different parts to you. So let's take a broader perspective of ourselves. When we want to just go back to our old behaviors, let's remind ourselves, you know what? I may want to use drugs, but there's another part of me that doesn't. You know, there's a broader identity that I have in myself. I want to also go to school. I want to also get married. I want to also build a business. I want to also, whatever it is, I want you to understand that you have to have a broader perspective about yourself. Now, who wants to share on that one? I'm not my trauma. I'm not what I used to do. I'm not what happened to myself. So what can I do to broaden, my identity? Someone go ahead, unmute your phone and share.
God bless you. This is Sister Lorena.
Hey.
Thinking back, because I think that those were my relapses, right? Where I start thinking that I'm what I used to do.
Okay.
And once an addict, always an addict.
Ah.
I stopped going to NA and AA because I'm not what I did.
Right.
That was a habit that I did.
Yeah.
So I kind of branched out to Celebrate Recovery because I'm
Okay.
not my habit.
Come on.
I am no longer my habit.
Yes.
And I can't agree and keep on telling myself that I'm an addict, right?
Okay.
Just in recovery, because that's a habit I had. And even though I was bound to it, I am no longer bound. So for me to change today is just that, reminding myself that I'm not what I used to do.
Right.
That is not who I am.
Yes. I love that. I love that. Identifying that I'm not going to be bound to my old habit. It's not going to be my identity. I'm going to broaden myself and celebrate my life. And there's so many more parts of me. I'm not that habit. I'm not that past obsession that I had. I'm moving myself forward, and I'm not going to identify with that anymore. I love that. Thank you, Lorena. I love that. Anyone else?
Wow. Wow, that was awesome. And you know, just looking back on my life, and you know, I'm not ashamed of anything that I've done. You know, I remember in my life, I've always been what you call like a girly type. I've always, you know, coming up as a young girl, I always had not just 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 boyfriends, and you know, preferably one that I really liked it. But I've always had the attention of a man, you know, and there was never a time you would see me without a man somewhere. And just reflecting back on that, and my now, back then, my old, and now my now.
Yes.
You know, I don't have a man, and nor am I searching for one. That's not my story anymore. You know, I had a story to tell, and I tell you, our past can give us a reputation that it'll mar our names forever as a woman. But I'm so grateful today that that is not my story. That is not my pain anymore, because I don't know if it was just loneliness or just the attention. But however, it put me in a place that I felt like I was needy to that,
Yes.
you know. And now, just looking at me now, where God has brought me from, hallelujah, I see myself as a woman of God, a woman of integrity, a woman of peace, a woman of love, because I don't need those things. Back then, I needed to be validated that I was something that really wasn't a validation. It was more it was just as much as their gain as it was mine.
Right.
But now I realize that I don't need that. Everything I need, I found it, you know. And I'm excited to say, you know, that all I needed was Jesus.
Wow.
And that's enough. That's enough. You know, whatever God's desire is for my life, his plan is for my life, I'm excited about it. But if it means this is it right here, to do all that I can while I can, then that's what I got to do.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that, because nothing can stop me now other than me. Other than me. I'm the only one that stop me from doing what I'm supposed to do. And I'm just glad about it on today. I'm excited because just listening to everyone, I am not what everybody said I was. I'm not, but I am what God said I am. I am that I am what God said that I am. And I'm excited about it. Thank you.
Excellent. I love that. I love that. There were certain needs that we had in the past that we thought was needs, certain things that made us feel validated, certain things that made us feel okay, made us feel like, hey, I am above, you know. But now, after having some time on this life of recovery, this road of change, we realize that's not my identity anymore. What they said about me, the names they called me, that's not my identity. And I don't have to live according to what someone else think about me, or even how I used to think of myself, what I thought my needs were. So awesome. I love that, Kashara. I love that, because there are some things that maybe we thought we needed back maybe 12 years ago, 12 days ago. We may have felt that we needed those things. We may have felt we needed to be around a certain prestige of people. We may have thought we always needed a man or needed a woman. You know, we may have thought that we always needed thus and things, money and all this, that, and the other. But guess what? Whatever the identity that we took on from that way of thinking, we don't have to keep it. We don't have to even give attention to it. I'm gonna read another one.
Ms. Jackson, I just wanted to say something. Even when you were saying that, what came in my mind was this: I wore every kind of name brand jacket that was placed on me. And now God have changed my name, my perception. I'd rather be called a plain Jane than to wear the jackets that I wore in my lifetime. I don't ever want to look back at those things that held me down, that detoured me. But I want to move forward in the newness and everything that he had for me. I just want to walk in it. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful on today.
You sound grateful, Kashara. That's excellent. And that's what life change does for us, guys. Like Miss Belinda said, she was able to let go and let God. And like Miss Kashara is saying, you know what? I'm grateful for the life that I live. I heard someone say, it took me 55 years to get here, and now I'm here. I'm not letting it go. I'm not going back. I don't care how much those old behaviors want to pull me back into their grips. I'm free, and I'm going to stay free. And we're going to also identify one more. I think we have time for one more. It's 1:21. Confusing needs and wants. It's so many great ones here. But like Ms. Kashara was saying earlier, at some part of our life, we may think that we need a certain thing. We have to identify, because those thoughts and those process of thinking that can harm us is confusing needs from wants. So you want something very badly, so that means you have to have it. Example, I need to relax with drugs, or I need to find, just like Kashara would say, I need to find a man. I need to find me a romantic partner. I need this, I need that. Recovery is the need. Recovering from these unhealthy behaviors is the need today. You may want many things, but needs are few. You may want your drug of choice, or you may want to do things, but you do not need it. Needs are essential: food, shelter, clothing, your recovery in this process. So let's not confuse our needs or what I want. Sometimes we feel like we need something, but it's just a want, and we're just going to identify it as that and move on. So I want to thank everyone again today, and I'm going to have our last thought, reading our last thought. Let's see here. Today, October 11th, keeping anger in safe limits. It's dealing with anger is our subject. The most heated bit of letter writing can be a wonderful safety valve. AA co-founder Bill W. said, providing the wastebasket is somewhere nearby. This is a delightful bit of advice about the right way to handle anger. Writing an angry letter is at least a way of bringing our feelings out so that we can see them. This is far healthier than the peculiar method of stuffing one's feelings and pretending that there's no hurt or offense. But an angry letter once mailed can be more destructive than a bullet. We may live to regret even having mailed it. It could have unintended consequences of the worst kind. That's why the wastebasket becomes the secondary handy way to deal with our anger. We throw the letter away and let time and wisdom heal the matter. What usually happens under the guidance of our God is that we find a much more satisfactory way of settling whatever has happened. So, just for today, if I become angry today, I'll admit it to myself, perhaps even put my feelings on paper, but I'll have the good sense not to go any further with such outbursts. Well, guys, today we've had another great day. You guys are changing your mindsets, healthy perspectives, healthy ways of viewing things, yourself. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll be back on tomorrow with another great topic. But until then, guys, live free. Don't forget who you are. You're valuable, and let's maintain our value and move on into our life change. God bless you all. Have a great day. Live free.